Thanks for having me. And I think throughout the afternoon, we have heard different perspectives, quite a lot of looking back and then looking forward as well. And hopefully my content, I've tried not to have overlaps, but there might be some overlaps, but overlaps probably mean that everyone is seeing the same thing, saying the same thing, and maybe we can all collectively inform a better view of the way forward. So a little bit about the Building Intelligence Group. I started saying we're the project managers, and I think half of the people in the room are project managers, so maybe not that bespoke. So we'll just probably do a bit, this is just a guide. I might just talk through and have a bit of a conversation. I know we have like Q&A in the end, but I might have conversation with you guys. So we'll do a bit of a quick intro, get the contracts, get some procurement models. I'm talking to a group of individuals who are very experienced, so I'm not trying to tell how to suck eggs, but it's just some perspective of what we know in the market and what we should be doing. And Alex, I will probably go a bit counter to you. I would say relationship does matter. In this country, yes. No, but I've been in the country for 10, 11 years, and personally, the journey of working in New Zealand is very different to where I come from. I come from India. Resources are never scarce. There are always resources available. There's always materials available. There's no issues in lead time, but they have different challenges. Coming here, it's a completely different world, culturally, and size, and scale, and also the achievements that each organ, like there is lack of good resources, lack of good quality products, lack of good suppliers. So I think it's how to kind of make this micro environment sing and hum. So I'm not a marketing expert, so some things we'll be focusing on the marketing because we're talking about how to weather the storm. And there are some things that we can do even before we get to the bid part, which I would like to focus on. A little bit about the Building Intelligence Group. I've just focused on Auckland region. We have 13 offices across the country. I don't want to bore you, but we do mainly project management and engineer to contract services, which Nathan, you are very familiar with. Good track record being an ETC coming from a developer is really good track record as well, because there is no dispute then. A bit more about what I'm passionate about as well. I know a lot of suppliers and contractors and developers are residential market heavy. I do quite a lot of commercial projects, and the lens is it's same, but it's quite different. So I do a lot of commercial office fit outs, development, front end, and have done quite a lot of scale from 500 squares to more than 10,000 squares to 20,000 squares. So my worldview is a little bit different, but that's, and I want to encourage more contractors to come on the commercial journey. There is good margin, there's more protection, and the quality is higher, and we do need good quality contractors and supplier market, because from my lens, the supply market in commercial and interiors is very small compared to the wider organization, my wider market. So, as I said, I don't want to bore you guys, but the reason we are thinking about the contracts available in the New Zealand market, the 3910s and 3915s and 3916 and 3917s, I think Garrett, you mentioned, or someone mentioned, 10 years ago you put it under the drawer and not look at it. These days, please look at it, and please get your project manager or delivery team to look at it. Good clients should write the contract, which should promote the collaboration, which hopefully we try to coach the clients to come along and be a collaborative document rather than very adversarial, because that sets the tone. But please do read the contract. It's very, that's the document, that's the scope, that's the assumptions, that's the parameters. You gotta, this is the rule book. Either you follow it or don't go in between. Either follow it, send the notices of delay, send the extension of time claim, don't be in between. Follow the contract. I've put some international contracts for context, and that is slowly started to come in. I'm not an expert on contract, but some of the projects we're doing with the airport are using these contracts. So the reason I'm showing is the supplier should be aware of various forms of contracts. The most common type is 3910 or maybe 3916, but there are other types which I think if you're going through, it would be quite good for your company to engage a lawyer to kind of get you familiar with all these models so that you have like a rule book, suite of tools to either bid or not. Some projects are reliable, some projects do not have a contract which is friendly. So make sure you have a good understanding. And I don't want to list all the legislation, but there are legislation you should be aware and you should have a good handle on. Is it fair for a smaller subcontractor to know all of it? Probably not. And I think this is where a larger head contractor can come in and an institute like NZIOB can come in and kind of elevate our baseline of our community, because we can say this weakest link will fall, and anything we can do to kind of educate them. And I think there was a question on BIM. There's the attitude that people are not adopting BIM. There's cost effect as a result of it. But what are we doing to elevate our standard offering? I think our architects can do better. I think building a community is definitely better, just on setting the expectation. How many projects have we gone in when there is a BIM workshop as a first site kickoff meeting? That can be quite empowering. So I think it's just mindset shifting. The tools are there. Maybe time to upskill. Now is the time to upskill when the market is a little bit of a dip. But I just want to give the context on what there are. In terms of procurement models available, we talk about build only, design, build, and ECI. I think there's plenty of case studies being talked about. And I want to talk about a bit more pricing models, because each of these types of contracts and procurement model can come into quite a lot of lump sum, model of cost plus, which is P&G and margin, measure and value. I don't see a lot of that anymore. And some of the councils, like infrastructure project, they have their specific contract which kind of sits outside this ecosystem in some way. But they're pricing models, and none is better, none is worse. And Alex will probably explain a bit more about each of these. Bill of quantity versus no bill of quantity, everyone is going through the fixed lump sum. And that's where in it risk lies. We're saying keen pricing. But we're also saying the lowest price is not always winning. And hopefully we'll probably expand on that a little bit. Because I said I'm from a commercial background, commercial fit out, commercial projects background, I thought I'll talk about something which the industry, and I find our contractors, subcontractors, suppliers don't understand this. This is when there's a large development going on, be it commercial bay, be it in Manson's building, be it Preston's building. This is the terms that gets used around, and I think I would like to say and please feel free to contact me, I'm very passionate about it, to kind of know these models. And this is very unique to New Zealand. This is not well talked about around the world, I don't think. It's very New Zealand made system. It's very, and not user friendly, because it's a lot of jargons. There's base build, there's MCHF, there's SHF. And when you have to work as a supplier in a project like Commercial Bay, or the new Manson's building, or the new commercial building, the main contractor needs to understand this, because it affects the pricing model of what price goes to a tenant, what price goes to a landlord. In turn, the subcontractor needs to be aware. In turn, the supplier needs to be aware, because for us, if we get the tenders and if the contractor has not understood, we just chuck it away, because it's waste of our time, and we end up with the same pool of handful contractors, which in this competitive market, we still get the 4 contractors we go to. So I think it would be quite good as an industry level to talk about it. And this is very selfishly I've put in, because I know most of the people are not in the commercial sector. Maybe they are. And if you have more options available, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'm not going to go and read through. I did like a bit of a pulse survey in the office with the consultant, with the contractors, with the client on what do you think the market is? And I soon started getting very depressed because nothing was optimistic. And I'm not a wise person, but I think someone said there are people either very optimistic in this market, stay away from them. There are people very down in the, very pessimistic, also stay away from them. Try to be balanced, and it's pretty hard. One day the news is really good, the other day the news is not good. And I don't want to dwell into it, but that's the kind of the market sentiment. And yes, people have other opportunities. They're thinking about leaving the country. They're thinking about downsizing the business. They're diversifying. It's a very unsettling market. With unsettling market, it comes opportunities also. And I would like to encourage you all, don't get into dumps. I definitely do get into dumps. One day I'm talking to an inspirational person, I'm like very inspired, and the other day I'm not, and you just feel the whole day has just gone down. So I think that, market sentiments are important. You need to be in touch with where it's at, but also look after your own areas of expertise, because what you are offering is unparalleled, is leading pack of the market, is what you've got to believe in. And I know it's a little bit optimistic saying that, but you really have to. You really have to carve your way out of it. We are all winning bids, or putting the bid, putting the tender, putting the RFT, being at a consultant's or a contractor level or a subcontractor level. The speakers have spoken at length of what are the things that you're looking into. I probably will focus more on the non-price evaluation, because trust me, the evaluation panel are the least common denominator in terms of capability sometimes. They're just there. They have 10 tenders to evaluate. They have procurement officers. They don't have time or passion to actually do a proper evaluation. If the client is very engaged, they would be on that panel and they would try and put more effort into it. But most of the tenders we bid into, it's been evaluated by a procurement officer who does not care of the end product. And also they are procuring a service, which is very hard to gauge based on what they're getting. So I don't want, answer the client stated and unstated questions. What we have seen in the last 8 months is clients are asking if we do win the tender. That does not mean that we have answered it perfectly, but every client is looking for what is the value add in every section, but also at the same time answer the question, especially the tenders coming on the gates. They have a very strict evaluation model, and I know it sounds quite administrative, but when you look at their evaluation model, they score each question, sub-question, weighted. It's quite boring actually, but that's what they do, and whoever comes on top of that random calculation is on the top. But the things that they look for, or at least I think they look for, is the questions. If we have not answered the questions, and if you have answered the innovative solution, that we just don't get scored, even though they like the answer. They really like to see your understanding of the basics. If your offering is unique to the market, I think sell that. Be more confident when it comes through the pricing questions, the non-price questions, your track record, your capability, what's your story about your organization, broader community aspect. Put all of that in, but not as a word jumble, but put as in, so that it looks coming from you rather than copy paste. Use plain language. ChatGPT, please don't use it, because it does kind of see it's a lot of fluff, and we have started seeing, everyone is using it, but you can kind of see who gets straight to the point rather than just talking around the edges. Use diagrams. Please use diagrams. Please use informatics. Nothing worse than a 20-page Word document, which is from ChatGPT. But use your diagrams. Use your people photo. Use your project photos. It doesn't need to be very polished. If there is a concept you can explain in a flowchart, use it. when the evaluation panel are looking into it, those are the things that they probably value more because someone has put some thought into it. Include images, talk through the bid. It's a good conversation, and I think it's if it's an architectural consultant bid, they look for creativity. I'm sorry to say the cost consultant bid would be boring, Alex, but if it's a project manager bid, they look for personality. I mean, you got to know into what they are buying, they want to buy. And if you're looking for a contractor bid, we want to see their passion, we want to see their expertise, you want to see their track record, we want to see what they're going to do on this job. And we want someone as excited as the client is to kind of match, let's do it, rather than just the monotony of this is another job. And I've seen, the reason I take this example is we have awarded tenders who are 15% more expensive because they just demonstrated more passion in the interviews, on the documents. So it does count. And I do talk from a commercial project perspective who can afford sometimes throwing the cheapest price, not the most important, but I think it still matters, even though for the government clients. Risk trade-off. I think there is a way of writing your risk. Some are very adversarial, and some can talk about the risk and say what you're going to do about it, rather than just talking about the risk and going away. Because they want to say, okay, this is your design is not coordinated, you don't have consent, you don't have splits. Then what are you going to do about it? Get the value add in there. And also, it's not a tag, but you've kind of talked through how you've priced it, how you've presented it. Tags or no tags. I think we heard quite a few examples on what should be a better approach. Should you put any tags? Should you not put any tag? Should you put 3 pages of tag? I think there's the right balance. If something is very obvious, don't put in. If something needs to be let known of how you have priced it, of how you have come to a number, or what is the value add, or whatever, put that not in the price, but put a compliant bid first. Put the tag of what you have assumed. That is more successful than, and we would also like to see when we're reviewing the tenders, contractor with 0 tag, suspiciously low margin, hardly any P&G, people who we know have been committed to 10 other jobs, maybe not. So I think all those things do matter. And if you do end up not winning the project, please do ask for debrief. And I know for it can be a good debrief if the process was run fair and reasonable, but don't go and attack the panel member when you do get the debrief, because they do remember. I've heard, this is from a client, I think they had a large architectural organization, price a smaller architectural organization also priced, and the smaller firm won, the larger firm did not, but the larger firm did ask for a debrief, and the client gave them the debrief. They said they loved their creativity and all that, but we didn't like your people, we didn't like how you presented, we didn't like your price. And that was quite honest of them. But the client remembered the person's questions of what they asked, what can we improve, how can we present better, what's this, I think the point I'm coming is 2 years down the line, the client gave the same architect another job because they really valued how they actually dealt with the whole debrief process, how informed questions they asked. So these things are quite valuable. I think depends on the situation. And I think there are just some don'ts. Don't be generic. If you have your brand, talk about your brand, talk about your values. Copy paste from 10 other bids is quite boring. Get your project manager actually to write it. Don't just get them to write the methodology, get them to write the introduction. And again, it doesn't need to be the best word presentation. It just needs to be from the heart, and it shows. And believe you me, clients do look for it. And some clients do look at the bottom line and that's it. But luckily, I don't have those clients. So all my clients do want a good job at the end of the day. Don't rush it. Ask for help. If you're rushing the job, it shows in the tender. Don't instruct through bids. It comes from usually, this is an interesting time because quite a lot of tier 1 contractors are flooding the market into smaller contractors as well, which is a statement in itself. But you kind of can see who's a tier 1 contractor bullying their way into the tender because they're quite instructive in their bids. And the price is the lowest because they can afford the scale, because they have subcontractors doing 20 other jobs, so they can afford to be the lowest price. But we do feel there's quite a lot of instruction on the bid. And yeah, don't forget to include all your details, even your subcontractors. Get your credentials, get your accreditation. You know how there's a thing about these days, inclusivity, social procurement. You do all those things, and sometimes you forget to put on your bid, and sometimes you do put on your bid and don't talk about it. Anyway, the point is, be quite genuine and authentic on how the journey needs to be. If you don't do any of those things, if you're not a sustainable business, it's okay. Just say it, what you stand for. It doesn't mean that you're not Green Star accredited or Home Star accredited. You just need to be genuine. And I think clients do encourage that because there is a little bit of a reality check in this market now. Tick box will not work. I think a bit more validity might work. A little bit. This is not a very, very good representation. But I was trying to, we talk about the RFT and the bid market. And I'll start from the top. Why is it humming? Is it humming? There's a lot of, okay. When you get a GIDS, anyone, be it a consultant, be it a contractor, I'll start from where you spot the listing on the GIDS, you go and talk to your marketing, there might be an expression of interest phase, there might be RFT, you get along that, you do your price and non-price, go through the tender review, go through the negotiation, and you get the contract. If you have got success rate in that, you probably have the best marketing team who write amazing bid. The timeline of this phase might take 4 to 5 months, and no matter how good you are, the success rate is quite low, in my opinion, because you're one of the, if you're one of two, you're already 50%, so it is quite low. Then you have a company who does quite a lot of active business development in the market. So there are a couple of steps that they do before even getting the bid. They try to rely on market intel, they do a bit more research, and then wait for the bid. Because they might hear about the rumors. The government is doing infrastructure project. They might go and talk to the consultants who are doing infrastructure projects. They might make their way into ready for the listing. They make kind of their own success, which is a great strategy, your BD department. And I would encourage you all are BD in your own field. BD is not a business development manager. Your youngest employee is your BD. They are your brand, at least for us. This process might take 6 to 8 months. And there is no science behind this percentage, I just plucked it out. Success rate might be a bit higher than just going through the gates, because when you go through the gates or any tender evaluation, the panel member would be like, I've heard about this company, they do great things, or what have you. So it's a bit more friendlier for seeing a familiar face on the bid. Maybe it's time to get your strong strategy. And this is quite frustrating because if you start today, you won't get the fruits until quite 6, 12, 18 months. But I would honestly ask, you know how we talked about the market is quite downturn and everything is down? Find your point of difference. Everyone has their point of difference, in my opinion. It could be a people, it could be a skill set, it could be an area of expertise, it would be a diversity on the projects that you do. You might do housing, you might do residential, you might do hospitality, you might have a lot of point of difference. Choose the direction for the mid and long-term clients. So map it out, who are the clients you would like to work with, what are the type of projects you would like to work with, and whiteboard exercise helps. Everyone has their own way. You can do it on phone, you can do it on your laptops, but just map out which direction you want to go, because these days what we are seeing is contractors who don't do commercial contact us for projects, which is what I think they're trying their best to get diversification, but this is not the right time to do it. They have to step the stepping stone to get to where before, I don't know, I can talk to corporate clients. Can you please consider them for a project? Do some extensive strategy to surround the clients. Make sure that your company is visible, your brand is visible. You don't need to bombard them with emails. New Zealand is such a friendly country. They will at least have a phone call or coffee catch up with you. Don't talk about work, talk about them. I'm not a media expert, but nobody wants to just hear about your company. You're catching up with them. They're giving their time. See what's going on in their world. Because what we find is those are the critical people who will be on the panel, and your RFT or the bid that you put in has a bit more research about the client. You might hear about few things when you talk to them during the coffee catch-up. Some might value the risk analysis, some might value the health and safety aspect, some might say sustainability is top-notch for us. You just collect those cues and put in the bids. And yes, it might be cheating because I said be authentic, but you can get the messaging across. But that takes 12 to 18 months. And I truly believe you can do that. You can. This is not a map, but some kind of helping guide to get you. I'm not going to talk through. Procurement focus on, are you taking too much risk? Are you over-committing your team? Are you taking on too much work? Are you getting caught in the lowest price wins the approach? Or have you thought about how low price, low margin is perceived by clients? New Zealand is a small market. If you win a job with, in commercial sector, I heard the margin rates of 8%, 15%. No, I've seen 3.5% on the large job. That's quite sad. Guess what I'm going to pay them for the next job? 3.5%. So that's not going to work. So I think, just see how it's perceived, because you're as good as your last project or last job. I don't want to go through, but this is like an action plan. If anyone's interested, please come and talk to me about how to create a strategy. And I can only talk about when I came to New Zealand 10 years ago, I had no idea I could go and talk to people like Spark, Deloitte, KPMG, ANZ, BNZ. But I have been able to be there, and it's not like a rocket science. They're just very being able to talk to you. And I just try to map my client, map my expertise, and hope for the best, I think. I'm not going to go through, but if you guys are interested, please let me know. Get your elevator pitch. People don't like talk about themselves, but you got to be selfish. Be an elevator pitch. Talk about yourself. You're your own brand. And I think that's my summary. I didn't approve that photo, but okay. Be cautious, be aware, and then strategize. As I said, don't just go as random size fits all. Be very cognizant. Don't give the call to a person you've never called just because the market is down. They know why you're calling them. Everyone is smart. How to see and be seen in a flooded market. It's quite hard. There's a lot. How do you sift through? And I say this is not just the business development person's role. It's every business. If you're a leader in the market, it's your role. At least it's your brand. Try to thrive and be strategic. I said through bids, through direct negotiation, and through good old networking. Because I've not gone through a Gates RFP in the 10 years. It's all through networks. And that's why I think Alex, I was going to say he's not there, but I was going to say relationship works.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's it. Thank you.